resistance is futile.
Boldly going where no show has gone before. This is The Week in Geek with David D. Squared, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. Broadcasting from the Gregory Ricks and Associates Wealth Management Studios, here's D. Squared.
Greetings, people of Earth. This is The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D. Squared. I'm going to lay out the show for you real quick, kind of jam-packed today. We'll kick it all off with top nerd news, followed by my boy Skungy with his pick of the week. And our guest tonight is Chris Arrant of Newsarama.com. We have shared a lot of his stories on our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek. So we have him coming in tonight around 7:30 or so. We'll talk to him about a lot of topics. Typically, the Labyrinth prequel, sequel, Labyrinth 2. It's not a reboot. At least I don't think it's a reboot. But we're going to be talking to him about that. Also, some of the Disney Plus stuff, a lot of the new cast members that have been announced. And we'll also get into some of the DC Diamond Publishing stuff that's been going on. I was using some of Chris Arrant's articles for our information from last week's show or the week before that. So we'll dig into that if it's a monopoly, and we'll touch on it all with Chris Arrant of Newsarama.com, and then we'll wrap it all up with This Week in Geek History. But first... And now, your top nerd news stories from around the world, brought to you by the Viridian Tea Company. Find them on Etsy. And now, your top nerd news stories. All right, topping us off tonight. Really, I wish I was a kid again, man. I feel like I've gotten robbed sometimes. Just the cool stuff that kids get these days. I mean, man, look, think back to, I guess it was the mid-'80s, 90s when Double Dare was out. Everybody dreamed of, picking boogers. That was the green slime on Nickelodeon. And just Double Dare that was it. That was the end-all, be-all of game shows next to, winning the thing at Children's Palace or Toys R Us where you could get a huge toy sweepstakes and just run up and down the aisles with a basket. This is the next best thing for the new generation. Star Wars Double Dare. It's not called Double Dare, but that's what I'm calling it. It is called Star Wars Jedi Temple Champion Ahmad Best, who you might know as Misa Jar Jar Binks. Here is the trailer for this, and man, I want to be a kid again.
For generations, the Jedi Order have been the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy.
Now, Padawan teams must endure 3 challenging rounds of Jedi trials to become Jedi Knights.
Go!
From the strength trials on a distant world.
Keep going.
To the knowledge trials aboard a Jedi Star Cruiser.
Your answer is correct.
Yes.
Only one team will have what it takes to enter the Jedi Temple.
Use the Force!
Face the mysteries inside.
Here's the circle plug.
And prove their bravery to become Jedi Knights.
You got this! I believe in you! Go, hurry! Push in this red!
Will the Padawans be tempted by the dark side? Or keep their minds focused on the light side of the Force?
May the Force be with you always.
Now,
There's only one thing for you to do.
This is my favorite part.
Punch it!
They need more slime.
Give up.
They need more slime, just so you know.
By
Trust
the
in
right
the
of the
Force.
Council, by the will of the Force,
Yeah!
it's time to face your Jedi Temple Challenge.
I get goosebumps. I know I'm a nerd. Shut up. I got goosebumps because I want to do this. I think the only thing they're missing really is just slime because they're testing their mental acuity. They're working on their dexterity. This is cool and all, but I don't know. I feel like they're missing something, like some midichlorian slime, some sort of way, like a Sarlacc pit that involves foam and just, shooting boogers at people. Something. I don't know what it is, but it's missing it. So here's the thing. if you want to see it, it is coming out. There's a lot of talk that it was going to be on Disney Plus and that it was going to be, just something that everyone could enjoy, but you'd have to buy it. I don't know if they didn't find enough sponsors for this. Maybe they should just take my hints, build a Sarlacc pit and throw some kids in it and just watch the hilarity. But it's going to pop up on Star Wars Kids YouTube, and it's going to be June 3rd. So Tuesday, Wednesday, sometime this week coming up. So that is Ahmad Best. He's going to be your MC, the Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, Star Wars Kids YouTube, June 3rd. Check it out. Honestly, I hope they do a second season because they need to add a little bit more, because if you go check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek, you can see that trailer there. It's interesting. I think it's going to be fun, but you know what? Wouldn't be the first time that I was wrong. All right, let's jump over to some strange new worlds that are not Star Wars, but Star Trek.
Strange new
worlds.
You asked. We listened. It's happening.
Wow, I'm so glad I finally get to share this news with you guys.
Speaking just for myself, I have never received more love from a fan base than I have from the Star Trek family. Without you, this wouldn't be happening, so thank you so much.
I can't wait to put on that gold Starfleet uniform and deliver #1 right along Captain Pike and Spock.
It is a huge honor. And it means even more for us to be able to announce this right now at a time when so much of the planet is hurting. The ethos of Star Trek is so curious and welcoming and unifying. And we're going to get to work on a classic Star Trek show that deals with optimism and the future.
Here we go. I can't wait.
And I guess there's only one more thing to say. Hit it.
Hit it! Man, look, Anson Mount as Captain Pike has been phenomenal. If you have not watched the new Star Trek Discovery series, I strongly suggest you do it. I went against my own better judgment and jumped on to the month of free service because of the whole COVID-19 outbreak. So I was like, you know what? I've got not much better stuff to do, so why don't I go ahead and binge Picard, binge the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, and now I find myself hooked, and, I just kind of forgot to unsubscribe. So I've got all this stuff, but now they're going to add this new series, Strange New Worlds, that's going to have Anson Mount, but it's got Ethan Peck, who is Spock, and then Rebecca Romijn, who I had no idea it was her, as #1. I guess I just didn't recognize her as a brunette. But she doesn't have a name. It's just #1. Is this like some weird data thing? Is she like really not human? I don't know, because you would think at some point they'd give her a name besides #1. But this looks really intriguing because of the executive producers. One, Alex Kurtzman, who has done phenomenal work with The Walking Dead, etc. So, look, I think this will be a fun series, and CBS, All Access, while they've got a lot of turd burglars on their streaming service, their Star Trek offerings have been pretty good. I can't say enough about Picard. And I really did. Star Trek Discovery started off slow, y'all. That first season, it started off a little slow. There was a lot of bumpiness in that. That I don't want to ruin anything. I guess spoiler alert. But the whole double agent who's really a terraformed Klingon into a human, it didn't work for me really well, but I overlooked that because there was a lot of other cooler stuff going on. And yet again, they always, spoiler alert, jumping into the Mirror universe. It's like, save that for later, man. You don't always got to, rush headlong into the Mirror universe. Set it up a little bit better. But look, it got us the evil captain back. So, hey, I really enjoy that. So this Strange New Worlds things looks pretty interesting to me. All right, moving on in top nerd news. Now, this is something that popped up last week. We took a week off for Memorial Day, and so we all enjoyed ourselves, got some rest and relaxation. But one of the news that broke was Peter Dinklage and Jason Momoa are teaming up for some sort of weird buddy undead comedy. It's going to be Good, Bad, and the Undead. It's going to Momoa is basically a vampire. Dinklage is going to be, I guess, kind of like the Brothers Grimm remake with your boy who played the Joker, the good Joker. I'm blanking on his name right now. But this seems to be they go from town to town pretending that the evil vampire is going to, blah, 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 suck all their blood. And he comes in, saves the day, they pay them, and they move on to the next schmuckatellis down the road. Obviously, things take a turn, and it'll all be sort of, I don't know. This looks funny because these two guys, they really have some great comedic chops. Momoa, look, I'm impressed with him. He's done a lot of serious stuff, but he's also done a lot of good, stuff, especially with Justice League. He was a shining spot in that. Aquaman was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. So this one, The Good, Bad, and Undead with Dinklage and Momoa, I'm excited about this. Now, here's another movie that's supposed to be coming out, Tenet. Here's the thing. Here, take a listen to this.
You're not shooting the bullet. You're catching it.
Whoa. To do what I do, I need some idea of the threat we face.
It's inverted. Someone's manufacturing them in the future.
All I have for you is a word.
Tenet.
I am not a smart man. I don't understand what the hell is going on in this movie. Apparently it's time travel, but not really time travel. It's side travel. Christopher Nolan, I want to go see it because it looks like something new. And as Brian and I were always fond of saying, we just want something new from Hollywood. This appears to be something new, but I don't know if I'm smart enough to watch it. I might have to let it simmer in the theater. It looks like it's going to be coming out July 17th-ish, maybe. Who knows what's going on? We're in phase 1, phase 2, maybe tomorrow we get to come out of phase 2 in the New Orleans, Louisiana area. I'm not sure, but I don't think I'm smart enough to watch this movie. But hey, you know what? I'm sure somebody out there will watch it and then explain to me, if I should go see it or not. All right, that's going to finish up Top Nerd News. When we come back, Skungy will join us for his pick of the week. Later on, we'll be visited by Chris Arrant, editor at newsarama.com. Stick around. This is The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
Hello, wonderful friends. It is I, Starfire of Tamaran, here to tell you you are listening to The Week in Geek on the radio. This is the radio, yes?
Welcome back into The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared. It is that time of the evening where we have to bring on my boy Skungy with his pick of the week.
Skungy's Pick of the Week.
I am not what you would call a handsome man.
I love lamp.
Skungy's Pick of the Week.
He might be an idiot savant.
Skungy, what's shaking, bacon?
Not a whole lot. How you doing today, sir?
All things considered, could be better, could be worse. So let's try to lighten the load for some folks out there right now. So what's our pick of the week tonight?
Well, lightening the load is kind of an accurate segue because we're talking about Minecraft Dungeons today.
So Diablo for kids, right?
Yes. The way that I basically put it, if Diablo was Budweiser, then Minecraft Dungeons is O'Doul's.
Okay. I like the analogy thus far.
So Minecraft Dungeons is a spin-off of the probably one of the most popular games in the entire world, Minecraft.
Yes, and and has countless spin-offs and YouTube channels of every shapes and sorts. So but look, as much as people kind of want to poo-poo on Minecraft sometimes, I mean, look, as a parent, this is the greatest game on the face of the earth because they just sit there for hours and hours, and they're sort of building stuff. They're being, they're exploring, they're creating. So there are worse ways to have your children waste their time.
Well, I mean, I agree. I have said this before. Now, if you don't know what Minecraft is a huge game where you can basically do whatever you want. You can build whatever you want. And more people watch Minecraft than they actually play it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I have said this for years. I am not creative enough to play Minecraft.
Look, I've built roller coasters and stuff like that with my kid, and it's pretty fun because sometimes it's kind of fun because I'll build this kick-ass roller coaster and then he'll start blowing it up with dynamite. I'm like, dude, really? But hey, yeah, it happens.
So what they've done now is they've decided to basically make a dungeon crawler set inside the Minecraft world.
Yes.
Now, you said it at the top of the segment, Diablo. Diablo is the quintessential dungeon crawler game.
Yes, like a 4-person co-op. It's like Gauntlet on crack. Yep.
Yeah, you can't help but compare this game to that because that is the bar. When it comes to video games, dungeon crawlers, Diablo is the bar. And I will say this is a great introduction to this game genre if you haven't played it before.
Okay.
So this would be a great way to get kids who have never played a dungeon crawler into it, but it's also kind of a refreshing, casual way for experienced players to play. So some of the cool things I really like about this game is, number one, you have a reusable health potion, which in dungeon crawlers is amazing because you don't have to worry about picking up potions all the time. It's on a cooldown. A lot of stuff in this game is on a cooldown. What that means is that you use it and then it takes a couple of seconds and then it cools down and then it becomes available again.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Now, that is not only with the health, but that's also with items that you get they're special items, and they're going to be keyed to the face buttons where you can press Y and you shoot a rocket, or you give yourself an area of protection, or you give yourself faster melee, all that kind of stuff, and everything runs on a cooldown, which is really cool because that means whatever item you get, you don't have to worry about uses. Like, I can only use it 2 times. I can only use it 3 times. So you use it as much as you want.
So, Larry, let me ask you this, though. So the items and all those other doodads, are there classes where you have abilities, or is it just strictly item-based?
That is one of the things that I actually kind of was a little disappointed in, is that there are no classes in this game. You have no class. There's a Munchkin joke there.
Right.
But yeah, there are no classes in the game. When you start and create your character, it's all just character skins. It doesn't matter what skin you pick. It just, that's the skin that you're going to play the game as.
Kids love that stuff, though, dude. They love it.
Oh my God.
Love it.
And of course, you could do DLC skins as well. But I guess that's kind of a good thing because of people's introduction to this kind of genre. Classes kind of might turn somebody off because it's like, well, this character does this and this character does this. No, everybody jumps in with the same starting thing. And the customization comes from the weapons and the items that you get.
Okay.
Now, one of the other things that's interesting is that they have these things called enhancements. Every weapon and every piece of armor has enhancements to it. Now, you have a couple of options to choose. It might have, now the beginning ones only have 1 enhancement, and then as you go further through the game, you can have 3. But say it's like you get a lightning strike, 10% chance of lightning strike, or swiftness, or just different abilities on these enhancements. As you level up, you get enhancement points that you will put into that item too, and each enhancement has 3 levels of that enhancement. So 10%, 15%, 35%, something like that.
Okay.
The cool thing about this is, with dungeon crawlers, you're constantly changing your weapons. You're constantly changing your armor because that's the thing. It's all about looting and getting all these new weapons and looting so you can get stronger and get this weapon that you can use and this weapon that's better. So it's like, at first I was like, man, why am I spending these points in this when I know I'm going to get rid of this item in like 30 minutes?
All right.
Well, you have an option to salvage any item or weapon that you have in the game that you get, and you get coins for it to use. But any enhancement point that you have put in something that you salvage, you get it back. So it means you can automatically put those points back into a new item, which I think is one of the coolest additions to a dungeon crawler ever. I mean, that is just genius.
That's pretty cool because, I mean, like you always kind of, sometimes you hoard your points because it's like, man, I know I'm not going to need this weapon. I'm going to save it for later so that, I'll put, skill points or whatever game it is you're playing with that. It's like, I'll just wait before I, commit to something, because once you commit in most things, that's it. You lose it, And so that's pretty interesting. So, and how do you get the enhancements again?
Every time you level up, you get an enhancement point. So the first level of an enhancement on any weapon or armor costs 1 point. So then the next level is 2 points, and then the third level is 3 points. So as you play through the game, you're going to have all of these points that you're constantly going to be pulling and moving all around, because every level you get another point.
All right.
So I think it's something really just unique to this genre that hasn't been really done before, at least in my memory, it hasn't been done. And I really enjoy that.
Yeah. Okay. Now, all right. So, all right. Now, is there a butt attached?
Well, for me, yeah, there's a little bit of a butt attached. Now, like I said it before, I'm not really, when I play a game like this, I'm not really a fan of the base material because I don't play Minecraft. So I went through it as somebody who had never played Minecraft, never really played it that much.
Well, and 8-bit can be, a little disconcerting nowadays for people, where it's just like, you have great graphics. Why would we mess around with the 8-bit thing? But I don't know. The blockiness is interesting and funny to me.
That doesn't throw me off. In fact, actually, for those graphics, it looks absolutely gorgeous. I don't know how they made it look as good as they did. That's not really the thing about it. There are a couple of things about it that I kind of was like, man, you could have done something with this.
Okay.
In a dungeon crawler game, you will go around and it's like, hey, you need to go to point A. Well, in a dungeon crawler, you're like, I'm going over here into this cave because I'm going to just go search and try to find loot and stuff like that, because that's what you do. I did that multiple times in this game. I went off the beaten path, and there was no reward for it. There was just a lot of nothing sometimes. You would think, like, I'm going over on this alley or this cavern. I'm going over here where the map is telling me to go right, but I go left.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And normally in these games, it's like I'm expecting to get like a chest, to find a chest or something like that. More often than not, I found enemies and no reward.
So the enemies don't drop stuff, or they do?
They do. They do sometimes. They do. They drop potions. They sometimes drop weapons. But you would think at the end of that, they would be like, oh, hey, you went over here. Here's a chest where you can open up, or here's a secret or something. It didn't have as much as that, and that in the dungeon crawling genre is a very big component of it. So that was one problem I had with it.
Okay.
The other problem that I had was you get these coins throughout the entire game. You're getting these coins, and you go back to your camp at the end of a mission. You go back to a camp, and you can buy random loot. Well, most of the time, it doesn't. You get far better stuff from drops than you do from buying it. So it seemed wasteful. And this is a Minecraft Dungeons. There's no crafting.
Really?
So the main component of the genre of that game series of Minecraft is building stuff, putting it together, and making something. And there was no crafting in this game, and that seemed very odd to me.
I mean, I guess the crafting, I don't know. It's not such a major component as much as you would think, though, because most of the kids play it on creative, and you get unlimited stuff, and they can make whatever the hell they want. It's really only they're playing in a survival mode, and most of the times the kids just play in creative, where you can't die and you have unlimited stuff. So I don't, you know, I get it, but all right. Well, tell me about the gameplay though. So I mean, it's player co-op. Can you play people?
You can play one person, a 4-player. You can play online. You can play offline. And it's very simple. You just go through, and it's a very simple hack and slash game. Moving around, no button combination that you need of. You can just pound down on the attack button or range weapons. Actually, you have a range and automatically, and that is the best way to actually play the game, because you do get a little overwhelming on melee when you have a bunch of monsters all at you at once, and it does seem a bit overwhelming.
Diablo PlayStation version, man. You know, like when you would have like 8 million demons, or let's just say 40 to 50 demons. It's like you're basically you're hitting attack and the potion button at the same time. So with this one, I guess what you're saying, just like range. But I guess the other thing though, moving off of that though, going back to the playability though. So like, I know a lot of parents out there, myself included, with a quarantine, and now you're in a summer. I've been playing a lot of games with my kid. You got couch co-op as well, so like Dean and I can just fire up and play the two of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you have like 4? Like if it's 4 people, do they have 2 other people like a Left 4 Dead thing, or is it just you and whoever else you're playing with?
It scales different. It scales to the people playing.
Okay, cool. All right.
So, I mean, like I said, this particular game, I enjoyed it. It's great for an introduction to this genre, because sometimes you want to play a dungeon crawler, but Diablo's content is really not for all ages.
No, right. Well,
it's very, very dark.
Yeah, look, I play Left 4 Dead 2 with my 7-year-old, and they cuss a lot, so... Yeah.
But you know what? You might not want, you might want to do it, you might not want to do it, but it's a great introduction, and it's not as complicated, so it's like a stepping stone to getting them to that game. Like Diablo or Baldur's Gate or any of those other games.
All right, well, cool. Give me the price and platform, man.
So it's on. It's going to be on Xbox, PlayStation. It's also on the PC. It's right now, depending on which version you get, it starts at $19.99, but you can get pay to $29.99 to get some extra skins and whatnot. But the thing I always say, and I love it, and I will always tote it all the time, it is free on Game Pass for Xbox One.
Look, it's free on Game Pass, big whoop, because then once it goes away, you don't have the game anymore, Skungy.
But you can play it on Game Pass, and that's the beautiful thing about it. You can play it and decide whether or not you want to buy it or not, because a lot of times with digital games, it's all or nothing. You buy it or you don't buy it.
Yeah, that's why I buy what I want. You have
a chance to play it.
I don't know. I'm just no. I don't know. I think most adults that try to find the time to play games with the Game Pass thing, it's like if you like a game, I mean, buying the Game Pass, if you just don't have time to try all the games, it just doesn't seem like money well spent to me. But I don't know, maybe I'm probably the friggin' weirdo, so I don't know, that's fine. But Game Pass, all right, so, but what is it? It's $59?
No, it's $19.99 or $29.99 if you want to get the one with the bonuses.
Wow. Dude, that's a deal.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, well, yeah, see, yet again, screw Game Pass. All right. Well, then, I dig this. I dig this a lot. I like it a lot.
I like it a lot.
So, all right, well, look, before we wrap up, yesterday we finally went back into space after almost a decade. We finally launched some people up into space, man. And I was lucky enough to get some audio from Bob and Doug. These are the names of the astronauts. I didn't make this up. Bob and Doug, they're up in space, though.
I'll do space first. So, I want to know, is, the Canadians made, the space arm for the shuttle, eh? Well, I'd like to know, can you use it to open a beer? And can you use it to hold the beer and then, bring it up to your mouth? I figure if it was designed in Canada, it's got to be able to open a beer, which means... those guys that go up there, the astronauts, are having a beauty time up there with that arm.
Okay, now you tell me. Okay, there's no gravity up there. The beer goes flying up.
So then you just hold your head over it, eh?
Yeah, but you got a helmet on. Okay.
So I don't know if I don't know how Cape Canaveral pumped in the crowd noise, but I don't know. I guess maybe they have those little buttons in the control room, Skungy. I don't know. Maybe
that is the most brilliant thing I think I've heard in a long time.
All right, Skungy, we got to get the hell out of here. We got Chris Arrant coming up next from newsarama.com. He is the editor of that website. I've used a lot of his news stories over the years. Oh, boy, the music came in pretty hot. All right, stick around, guys. This is The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. Chris Arrant, newsarama.com, coming up next.
Hey, this is Booker T, WWE Hall of Famer, and you're listening to The Week in Geek on WRNO. Now, can you dig that, sucker?
Welcome back into The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared. Let's go to the guest line. Chris Arrant of Newsarama, editor at Newsarama, joins us. Chris, look, let me tell people a little bit about your website, though, man. Look, Newsarama, look, on our Facebook page, I steal your articles a lot and share the hell out of it on our Facebook page. And I would just first off want to thank you for all the content you've given me over the years.
Oh, thank you for sharing it. It's all like we put all our stuff out free to the public. So as long as you share it and give us a little credit, then we're all good. Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm over here nearby in the Florida Panhandle, so it's good to be on the air in New Orleans.
Yeah, man. So look, let's kind of jump right into it because there's a lot of stuff going on. With the COVID-19, a lot of people being, stuck at home, et cetera, but also really, the TV and film industry is almost kind of, just shut down. And personally, for me, I was more crushed by the CW not finishing Supernatural's final season. But now they're getting back to it. But to add more problems over there for the poor CW, because I love everything that they're doing over there. But they had just re-signed or renewed Batwoman for season 2. And apparently Ruby Rose just exited stage left even.
Yeah, that was pretty harsh when the news came out for that. Like I will say, this COVID thing has provided this kind of weird off season for pretty much everything. Like I know sports fans are used to off seasons, but we here in comics and TVs and films aren't really used to an off season. But yeah, going back to Ruby Rose, that was pretty unfortunate. I heard early on in the season she had an unexpected injury, but she came back from that earlier this week or last week. Then she came out and said that it was a difficult decision, but she kind of alludes to other stuff going on. There's been some kind of reports and rumors about what it could be, but no matter what it is, we're going to have a new person playing Batwoman in 2021 when the show returns. But it's kind of unfortunate that they couldn't have somehow worked this into Crisis on Infinite Earths to somehow make it kind of jive a little bit more. But who knows, that they may have some other idea to make it work.
I had heard rumors that that some of their ratings were slacking up a little bit, like they had brought Bruce Wayne in on it. But also, though, I'd also heard rumblings about with Ruby Rose particularly that she's more used to some of the big screen kind of stuff. And as a lot of people maybe don't know, a TV schedule and filming schedule for TV is much more grueling than really kind of doing some of that on-set stuff with movies. I mean, from my understanding, really, it's like a 12, 14-hour days for like, what, four months in a row? And it plays hell on people's, I guess, personal lives as well.
Yeah, this was Ruby Rose's first TV show where she was the main person. So it's not like she was a guest star. She had to be in most all the scenes. And if you remember, originally the first season was only going to be probably, I think, a little over a dozen episodes. But the CW expanded it, and so they had even more work than they initially had planned. So I'm not surprised it would be overwhelming to someone who's doing it for the first time. And looking at it, if it is that, I don't know. she probably has a lot going on in her life. So.
Well, and I guess the good part is DC's already sort of come out and stepped in front of it to say that they're going to recast, they're going to bring somebody from the LGBTQ community to represent Batwoman. So I think, for a lot of people, continuity, come on, it's TV. We've seen how many Darrens in I Dream of Jeannie, so we'll be all right, I think. And I think one of the things that I give this CW a lot of slack because they produced so many shows, and honestly, I think they were really one of the progenitors for this wave of TV that we've gotten, because it all started with the Arrow and then the Flash, and I can't tell you, look, I'm way behind on the Flash because I got kids and sometimes I get completely sidetracked, so I'm not boned up on all of that. But with the CW, once they started all that, it was just like, man, it was like, a nerd mecca on CW.
Yeah, it's really become kind of like the equivalent to comic books, not just in the superheroes, but just in you have these ongoing storylines and they interconnect, and there's these serials, and then unfortunately now we're dealing with a surprise exit of the leading person. Where in this case it's the character, but in comics, like we always disappointed when our favorite writer might leave a show or something like that. But it's all about kind of who they find to replace it. Like this time next year, we could be talking about how the new Batwoman is the greatest thing to happen to the show.
Right.
Like we just don't know, but kind of waiting is the hardest part. So I kind of hope that they announce somebody soon just to kind of get us out of this uncertain time of we don't know who it is to kind of looking forward to whomever it is.
Right. We're visiting with Chris Arrant, editor at Newsarama. So, Chris, let's stay on DC, but let's talk about the actual comic book stuff. I was reporting actually from one of your articles about Steve Geppi from Diamond Publishing, and I found this interesting because I recall back to the beginning of the whole pandemic where DC, once Diamond said that they were going to not publish and they were going to try to close everything down to keep everybody safe, DC made this proclamation that they were going to start sending out comic books in May. And I'm like, how can you promise that, DC? It's like, how could you possibly know when this is all going to end? But then we come to find out that they had already worked out some sort of contractual deal with Diamond that if they gave them 2 months notice, they could start using other publishers. Mm-hmm. And the timing was perfect, but we didn't find out this information until like almost a month or two. I don't know if people couldn't nail down Geppi or not, but so did DC really, was the COVID-19 an opportunity for them to jump ship, or was it something where, I don't know, you got any more information on that, dude?
Yeah, unfortunately, we at Newsarama were the ones that broke that story that DC was no longer exclusive to Diamond. We pretty much knew they were effectively non-exclusive once they signed up with 2 new distributors, but kind of getting the reason why it happened is something that I myself was working on for months, and I finally got it from the horse's mouth when I got to talk to Steve, and kind of he explained how DC and Diamond had this deal for the past 25 years where Diamond was the only distributor who would provide DC Comics to comic book stores.
Right.
And it was 25 years to the day that basically DC started using other distributors. And it sounds like it like from what Diamond Steve told me, it was in the last renewal of their exclusive contract, which is about a year or so ago. DC asked for them to add a clause that they could, if things happen, DC could go elsewhere, which could be unusual, but with the way the world's changing and how DC is changing, I'm not surprised. It's like if you signed an exclusive deal where you would only shop at Walmart in town 25 years ago. And now since then, basically all these other grocery stores have popped up that they kind of wanted the opportunity, if things happen, so they could branch out. And while for some retailers and fans it was a little bit premature to get those books out in May before Diamond is coming back, at the same time, like people that read comics were seeing that the hiatus for print comics led all the publishers to not put out digital versions of comics. So people that read comics digitally, either because they don't have a store locally or just that they prefer digital, were basically being held up because the print distribution side of it wasn't running. And although most of the people that read comic books are still print readers, it is transitioning. Like it would be like if going back to our CW shows, if they couldn't put out Supernatural DVDs for some reason, if they put the show on hiatus and didn't come out with new episodes because they couldn't come out with DVDs, that would be a real bitter pill for fans to take, because we would think it's separate.
That's a solid point. Chris Arrant is with us, editor at Newsarama. So, look, and with Geppy, I think y'all had another article come out just recently where dove into it a little bit more. And I didn't know this about them, that they were investigated by the government to be a monopoly. And according to Geppy, said, we're not abusing the system. We were investigated by the government to not be a monopoly. We are benign and good for the industry. I don't know. I mean, it sounds about right, because, I mean, it's for the longest time, we haven't really had real distributor problems with comics. And after, I guess, the hard times we went through in the 90s, et cetera, that is, I guess, I don't know. I mean, what does this spell for the comics industry in your mind?
I think the COVID-19 crisis has really kind of shown these kind of weaknesses and bottlenecks in the industry that we didn't know about, or we knew about in the theoretical sense. Kind of, if we only have one distributor and something happens, we can kind of see the effects on that. So I think I hope we can come back healthier, but maybe a little bit more diversified. So there's just in terms of not just one print distributor, but maybe like in a way that if the print channels are hampered, it doesn't affect the digital channels. But it's kind of a weird thing. Like I could write a couple thousand words, probably like a couple articles on Diamond being investigated for monopoly, because it's a much deeper answer that Geppy kind of glossed over. Just not that he's biased, but he just has his version. But there's kind of this talk of like monopoly that is a real deep subject. But yeah, I hope we come out of this healthier. Maybe like a year from now when we can look back, maybe this will be a good thing, that we're kind of forced to spread out and have different distributors. So we'll kind of see how it goes.
Chris, I feel like a bad friend too, because we got a lot of friends here in the New Orleans area that own comic book shops like Showcase Comics, BSI, and Crescent City, and I should have reached out to them and asked them some of these questions too. I don't know why I didn't think of that, but it's always, when you're getting it, you don't question where the bacon comes from or the veal, because you don't want to think about a little cute little baby cow when you're eating a nice piece of tender veal. So we're visiting with Chris Arrant, editor at Newsarama. Chris, let's jump over to some news. Labyrinth, a sequel or maybe a prequel. I mean, here's where I'm the 80s kid in me is kind of, rebelling at this whole, rebooting, because like I even got a sound effect of the voice guy going, reboots? Don't talk to me about reboots, because that's all they seem to be doing, is just taking our childhood and crapping on it sometimes. But I do find this one interesting, whereas if they're going to sort of make it a sequel, I would be interested in that. And then honestly, how the hell do you replace David Bowie? But, there's a lot of new talent out there that might be able to fill those very tight leggings of one David Bowie.
Yeah, like Labyrinth is a big hit here in my house, and I vaguely remember going to see it as a child. I remember even buying the Marvel Comics adaptation, tying it back in the comics. So yeah, I've been following the story of a Labyrinth. Like you said, is it a sequel? Is it a spinoff? Is it a prequel? Is it? I don't know. It's kind of as confusing as being in a labyrinth yourself. So I'm really excited about the director. They did have a previous director that they announced in 2016, Fado Alvarez. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation. So this is kind of the second director that they've officially tried to do this with a new script, I'm told. So we'll kind of see how it goes. But like going back to comics, there's already been a prequel to Labyrinth in comics exploring Gareth's childhood, which people should definitely check out. And there's also a official sequel that was put out in manga form by Tokyo Pop that people should check out. But I would guess if this movie gets made, this might basically retcon all of that into something else. So we'll kind of see. As for replacing David Bowie, I'm not a filmmaker, but I wouldn't try to replace David Bowie. Instead of trying to be in the second David Bowie, I would find someone who's the first something else. Like, although the idea of maybe like, what if Jennifer Connelly from the movie basically grows up and becomes the villain in that case? Because they kind of saw her kind of flirt with darkness in the first movie, but what if it kind of they turn everything on its head and do that, and maybe have a Toby grown up to fight her, maybe.
I like where your head's at, Chris. I like where your head's at now. Yeah, because, I could see if they had the Goblin King replacement, I don't know, you'd have the Orc Queen or something. I don't know. You'd have to find some new little twist where it's like, the long lost cousin of Gareth is, I will get revenge. Some cheesy way like that. I think we could all suspend belief for a minute just to enjoy that. So if they do it, like, look, honestly, man, like the Dark Crystal, the new one, was it Resistance? I got 3 minutes into it and I couldn't do it. I don't know what it is. The Dark Crystal is special to me, and those vulture bird things just freak me out, so I just couldn't watch it, man. I don't know. I get nightmares, bro.
Yeah, I just hope for the Labyrinth thing they just gotta have puppets, or rather Muppets. They gotta do it real Muppets, not some CGI stuff. They really gotta appreciate the Jim Henson aspect of it, and maybe even bring back Brian Froud doing designs. But I hope there's a way that they can do it where it's original, but still doesn't forsake what was so great about the first film.
We're visiting with Chris Arrant, editor of Newsarama. Chris, I got to knock out a break, but look, real quick, tell everybody where they can follow you on social media. What stuff are you working on over there at Newsarama? What you got planning on article next, man?
Oh, thanks. Here in June, we're just now getting back in the new release of comics here at newsarama.com, and we're talking about the beginning of some big events. Marvel has planned Empire, DC has Dark Knight, Death Metal. There's also some great comics resuming on the creator-owned front that we're talking with the creators and doing some analysis on kind of what we think's coming up. Also, you can find me personally on Twitter. I talk about comics way too much on Twitter at chrisarrant.com. It's just like it sounds. Or you can just find me on Newsarama. But I love talking about comics, and I always happen to speak with a drawl because, like most people reading this, I'm from the South. So.
There you go, man. Look, I'm born and bred down here in New Orleans, man. So, look, I wanted to talk about Star Wars. I don't know if we really got any time, but maybe I'll have to bring you back on the show again sometime, man, because, like, all the news swirling around with The Mandalorian Season 2. I mean, we're going to get Katie Sackhoff. We're going to get the original Boba Fett. And then I saw rumors earlier today that potentially Sabine Wren might be the new Boba Fett, that Boba might have died in the Sarlacc pit and some Jawas snatched his armor, and then Sabine picked it up at a yard sale. I don't know. I am interested in this because all the new canon or legends now, Boba dragged himself out of the Sarlacc, Dengar nursed him back to health, but now you've got, everything is new and shiny now, so I'm wondering what they're going to do with that. And I don't know, your thoughts really on The Mandalorian, the first season, bro?
I really love the first season and the serialized nature of it, and how it wasn't trying to be this big sprawling epic, which some of the movies have kind of faltered under, just kind of be almost like a Western done in Star Wars.
Yes.
Some of the casting announcements have been pretty amazing, like the Katie Sackhoff, which you mentioned, and now Timothy Oliphant. So it's kind of like this Deadwood Mandalorian thing, which I'm pretty excited about.
I loved Timothy Oliphant in Justified. That was great.
I would love to see the Sarlacc pit turned into a old-fashioned Appalachian holler, and we see where it goes, and maybe bring up that yard sale that you mentioned.
That would be cool, man. Look, Chris, thank you so much for your time, man. Have a great evening, and we'll talk again real soon, brother.
Okay, thank you, D.
All right, that was Chris Arrant from Newsarama.com. When we come back, we'll wrap up tonight's show with This Week in Geek. history. This is The Week in Geek on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. We'll be right back.
And now, genius listeners, Yakko Warner here. And when we're in the water tower, the only show we listen to is The Week in Geek on WRNO Radio. Good night, everybody!
Welcome back into The Week in Geek, your source for geek and pop culture news that's trending now. I'm your host, D Squared. I want to thank Chris Arrant of Newsarama.com for joining us in the last segment. We're going to wrap up tonight's show. We only got a few minutes left to do it, so let me stop rambling and remind you that we want to strongly urge you to check out the Facebook page, facebook.com/The Week in Geek. Check out our website at twigradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twigradio and the Instagram's The Week in Geek. Now, Skungy, how can people listen to this lovely show?
Well, if you missed any part of tonight's show, or if you want to catch your favorite part again, you can always find us on Spreaker.com and download Spreaker for your smartphone or tablet. We're also on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, the iHeartRadio app as well.
There you go. Let's wrap it up.
This week in Geek History.
We're sending you back to the future! Yes! Oh my God!
This Week in Geek History is brought to you by Jezebel Johnston, Devil's Handmaid by Nancy Hansen, read by Brian Held. Available on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes. This Week in Geek History.
Yes! Oh my gosh!
Da-na-na, da-na-na, all right, Skungy, what we got?
All right, May 26, 1995. One of my favorites, Johnny Mnemonic, starring Keanu Reeves, Dolph Lundgren, Beat Takesha, Ice-T, and Henry Rollins is released.
What are your favorites? Please tell me you're screwing with me.
It's so bad. It's such a bad movie.
It is horrifically bad. I mean, like, I saw it in the theater out in New Orleans East at the Plaza 4. So, yes, I have very fond-ish memories, but no, it's like, it is nowhere near, it doesn't even crack my top 20.
Oh my God, it was just so bad.
Like,
I Reeves yells, "I want room service." I'm like, I'm done with this movie.
Look, I put Night of the Creeps above Johnny Mnemonic, screaming like banshees. All right, what's next?
All right, May 27th, 1939.
Oh, Adolf Hitler was found at the Brown Derby in 19th. No, that doesn't sound right.
No, wrong time. DC Comics debuts its second superhero, Detective Comics number 27. The superhero is Batman.
Batman! Yeah. How much is that comic worth? Good Lord.
Probably more than you and I will ever even see in our dreams.
Yes.
It was also Commissioner Gordon's first appearance as well.
It is hard to believe that Batman almost died, and thank God for Adam West and the campy-ass Batman that was, because Batman was having some real troubles. DC as well. If it wasn't for the Adam West Batman, DC and maybe even Batman would have gone bye-bye. I mean, it's amazing where we've come from back then to where we are now, where we've got such amazing storylines and the world's greatest detective and the Dark Knight and everything else. And you got to thank Adam West and who's it? Cesar Romero, who refused to shave his mustache and
mustache underneath the white makeup with the mustache. It just made no sense.
Good Lord. All right, we only got about a minute left. Give me one more before we roll out.
All right, May 29th, 1453. Constantinople falls to the Turks, ending the Byzantine Empire. It is Istanbul.
Oh, it's not Constantinople?
No, it's Istanbul.
Oh.
Bad news, everyone.
All right, I wish you'd have told me, man. I could have had some They Might Be Giants leading us out to break, man. All right, till next time, keep your nerd flag raised high.